Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time to review Jay Kelly, directed by Noah Baumbach. The film's about an A-list actor played by George Clooney, who's looking back at his life, and he's kind of sad that he didn't pay more attention to his daughters. So, what does he do about that? Well, it's not just his daughters. Well, it's that, but it's all just his relationships. He's questioning whether he was enough of himself, enough of a human being. And the film's very much about the whirlwind of celebrity and like what kind of life that creates around you and how it affects your relationships. After seeing it, I can understand how this like very careful study of what it is to be an A-list celebrity, like on the top of the world where everybody you interact with, you're doing it through some layer of transaction that nobody else in the world would have to deal with. Not just the people around you who are close to you, but also strangers. Like, it's about how surreal that is. And I can see why many people are just like, I don't care about that though, because I'm not an A-list celebrity and I think these people are stuck up. And the film wouldn't even try to defend itself from your accusation about, these people are full of themselves. Like, the character is deeply, deeply flawed, and it's very much about those flaws. I feel like it's kind of unfair just to approach it like, well, I don't sympathize with these wealthy mega celebrity people, so I don't care. Because I think Jay Kelly is trying to offer the audience something universal, because whether we're in pursuit of acting or just anything else that's difficult and takes a lot of time, like, there is sacrifice involved, and that's kind of the way of life. Well, also, everybody has a relationship to celebrity, especially, in America, to actors. And there's also like a great myth surrounding actors that this movie seems to dive into as well. Yeah, or just a myth around, when you make it, isn't that supposed to be great when you're at the top of the mountain? And this film is very much like a counter to that. I feel like it does have a good place. It has its heart in the right place. I like what it's saying. And ultimately, like, that character really had me feeling bad for him. Like, I couldn't tell whether it was empathy or just pure pity at times. Like, it did feel kind of like a pity party. But it was a deeply sad film, and I was moved by it. I especially think the ending was strong. But I am also pretty mixed on this overall. I was really in and out with it. Like, one scene I'd be like, hell yeah, this is great. And then another scene I'd just like, you almost had me, but then you lost me. I don't really believe this. This feels too fake. There are definitely moments here that are a bit of a mixed bag, but I did think the ending kind of knocked it out, and there was a lot that was really strong in this film that kept me going. This is a 2-hour and 20-minute film that indulges very heavily into like an unlikable person's life. Yeah. And so it can risk being tedious, and there were some scenes around 2/3 the way through where I think maybe the movie is spinning its wheels a bit. And I would say I didn't enjoy it as a comedy as much as maybe some of Baumbach's other films. Even White Noise I found to be maybe funnier. The witty, fast, overlapping dialogue feels like a bit of a trope of movies about Hollywood for some reason. I don't know if like Aaron Sorkin did that or if Birdman did that. It felt very artificial. Like, it really felt like a writer was crafting the scene, and I was often just yearning for the sincerity and just the heart to come through, and I just give me the actual thing that's happening. Like, I don't want the dressing. There's a lot of dressing in this film. The dialogue was very stylized. Also, the camera work was very stylized, the lighting, and with the hyper stylization, I almost felt like this was overwrought. Like, I just needed the characters at some points, which is a funny thing to say about Noah Baumbach, because you wouldn't think you'd be making that accusation against one of his films if you were just in the early season of his work. Why do you think that it being hyper stylized detracts from the characters? Because I don't know if I felt that. It just had too much dressing on it. Like, there were just moments where I was curious about the character dynamics, but it was doing this like Sorkin-y, like overlapping dialogue thing, and then it had camera work that was calling attention to itself, and it just felt kind of unnecessary. But at the same time, there's an angle which you could view the stylization in this film where it plays up the surreal element of being a movie star and of being Jay Kelly. And there are some moments where the camera work is dizzying and claustrophobic, and I really liked that angle, and I felt like it could have leaned into that even more, leaning into like the point of view and subjectivity of the protagonist, but it doesn't quite go there. Couldn't decide if I wanted that grounded, humanistic portrait that I'm used to with Baumbach films, or whether it was going in like a Fellini direction. Nicholas Bertel's score kind of works in a similar way. It's like this grand waltz, this glorious tragedy of Jay Kelly's life. And I would interpret the movie as like leaning into that grandiosity as an extension of this character, perceiving his life in this very dramatic way. You know, he says early on that all his memories are movies. There's a scene where he runs away into the woods and there's like crazy fog machines and it's just very over dramatic, but I think that it works for this character who doesn't know how to be a grounded person. I agree that there are some weaknesses in the writing, and at the same time I think there are so many strong bits of writing here and some really memorable pieces of dialogue that hit home. Like, I love the last line. I really feel like the film's biggest weakness is the story. Like, there really is a surprising lack of story if you think about it as Jay Kelly is driving it, because he's really making like a half-assed effort in his pursuit. Sometimes I'm wondering where this film is going at all and whether he is doing enough to get where he wants to be. It's very much a portrait first, and then like the story, the actual events that happen outside of being a character exploration is actually very thin. And I felt like that kind of held it back from being a great film, especially because I felt the film was leading with, I'm going to make a character study, a portrait of this man. It was really obvious what the film was saying about him in every single scene. Part of what I didn't like about the script was there's these little lines that are like, the audience is supposed to catch how they're like kind of being insightful or they're saying something deeper. And this happens so often. The film is like winking at the audience about, hey, here's like the deeper meaning. And it just felt overwrought in that sense. I don't know. I didn't really mind that about it. And even though there were times where I thought, oh, I kind of know where this movie's going, it actually subverted my expectations in a film that seems like it's a redemption story. And I think it gave me something that I haven't gotten before. I felt a pit of existential sadness at the end of the film. Let's talk about performances. George Clooney is absolutely the star here and the best part about this film, I would say. His performance was pitch perfect, expertly crafting the character and his personas and his layers. Nobody in the cast matched it with the exception of Billy Crudup, which he has like 2 scenes back to back, kind of has that like Judd Hirsch in the Fabelmans thing going on where he makes a huge impression in the film but then kind of leaves. He was magnificent in the scenes that he was in. That scene was probably the most hilarious of the entire film. As far as Adam Sandler's character goes, I didn't love this performance as much as some other people are. I think comedic actors often get more credit than they deserve sometimes when they do a dramatic role because we're simply not used to seeing them that way. And basically here, I think Sandler is good and he's solid, but he's not like outstanding to me. This character really is meant to be the heart of the film, or maybe he's just the character with the biggest heart. I feel like I didn't see this character kind of oscillating between the complex emotions underneath that we're supposed to buy that this character's wrestling with. I felt that Adam Sandler's performance felt a little samey in every scene, like he's kind of just delivering dialogue very straight. You know, there are moments where he's like choking up a little bit, but it doesn't feel like we're getting that much sway in his performance. I do feel like Adam Sandler has difficulty going to like those cry moments, and there are moments where the script feels like it's really trying to get him there. I could see him like struggling a little bit to get there. I didn't really mind the cry moments, actually. I think he was kind of like faking crying. Part of the reason that I have this gripe with the performance is also because there's something about the writing of that character that I did not resonate with and I felt was way too clean. Like, there's this complexity to this dynamic and there's a complexity to Adam Sandler's character, but the film wants you to buy it very straightforwardly, like as though he doesn't have layers, but then the writing seems to suggest that there are layers to his motivations. And then we have Adam Sandler playing it like this very just sincere guy, and we're just supposed to believe that, take it at face value. That did not feel believable to me. There are some things where I feel like Baumbach was trying to sell me something that didn't make sense, and that was like one of the core things there. I did really like the ensemble overall, and it's clearly a film that is trying to be an ensemble piece, having a lot of really fun performances and characters coming in and out. Yeah, I like the core of the film, but I don't like a lot about the execution, and I'm kind of mixed on it. I felt that the film really delivered as a character study and a commentary on these hollow and out of touch figures in Hollywood and the absolutely bizarre lives that they live. And I thought it was interesting watching this character like really try to dig to the core of his being and not really being able to pull all that much out. There's actually a lot that I really love about this movie, and at the same time, there are just a lot of little things that I'm not so sure about here. This puts me somewhere between a 7 and an 8. I'm more between a 6 and a 7. I have a lot of gripes, so I'm just gonna lean towards 6, but I do recommend this film, and I think people should go out and see it. And there is a potential that you will really like this film because it is kind of ambitious. Now, what are we thinking as far as this film's Oscar chances? Because I'm completely back and forth here. The critic reviews out of Venice and the horrendous Letterboxd curve made me think that this was just kind of out for awards consideration. But man, is this movie targeted to Hollywood specifically. And Emilia Perez, if nothing else, proved that you can be just a hit with Hollywood and it doesn't matter. That's not just a hit with Hollywood, though. It was a hit at the Cannes Film Festival, and it knocked the TIFF audience off their socks. Yeah. Jay Kelly cannot be said to have done anything, really, in terms of noteworthy accolades or acclaim from any group, largely. I mean, it does largely have good critic reviews, but are we really going to wait on the industry to see this and say, well, they're going to think something totally different about the film than everybody else? Usually that's not the case. Usually it doesn't happen like that. I think that the movie will probably get just Adam Sandler at the Critics' Choice Awards, because I feel like critics are going to want to nominate him. And even though we were mixed on his performance, it seems like enough people like it, and I can see it as an Oscar vehicle. Like, I accept that he's a contender for it. It's like trying to get him a supporting actor Oscar. For some people, it's just going to work because they love Adam Sandler. But I can see this movie doing really well at SAG, having a great day. Like, George Clooney getting nominated, Adam Sandler, and then the ensemble, because this movie is very much an ensemble film, and it's very much an actor's film. I think there is a chance that the film could have a, quote-unquote comeback if you accept that maybe it doesn't do so well early on in the season. Like, critics groups probably don't go out for it, but maybe Golden Globes, there's room for it in comedy and get comedy actor. Maybe Critics' Choice actually do go for it because it's the kind of film that they're fed and they're supposed to nominate. They're supposed to think it's like awards prestige and Oscar bait. So, I don't think it's going to be absent. I'm definitely not writing it off. There's a chance that if it gets like 2 or 3 SAG nominations, and a PGA nomination, I'll just be like, well, I'm just going to put that into my Best Picture predictions. I mean, it can get screenplay, 2 actors, picture, and score. Nicholas Bertel's score is very nice. A lot of people do seem to think the score is part of the over-stylization of the film, but not going to be a problem for the Academy if they like the movie. I do feel like most people are going to be mixed on this, including industry people. It's just a matter of whether there are some industry people that connect so deeply with it that they're going to vote for it. Remember how Babylon got a SAG Ensemble nomination out of nowhere? Yeah, it kind of feels like Babylon because it's a film that divides people. Except Letterboxd loved Babylon. Having seen Frankenstein and House of Dynamite and this, I have no clue what Netflix should be pushing the hardest. Like, I just don't know. I really don't know. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you that I know. I don't know. Flailing. I did feel like the film was awkward. I feel like most people are going to have gripes with it. It doesn't go down that smooth. It's kind of bumpy. It's so Oscar bait, though. It's very Oscar bait. It's very, very Oscar bait. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Do you wish you had Jay Kelly's status?